What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dad Needs to Talk. I am your host, Robert, and today I'm going to be sharing my quick thoughts on the first episode of My Dress Up Darling. So, My Dress Up Darling is a new anime airing in the winter 2022 season, and it is scheduled to be 13 episodes. It's currently streaming on Funimation and Crunchyroll. And yeah, so this is a series that I knew little to nothing about before I watched a trailer for the anime a few weeks ago. But anytime I've been in the bookstore or whatever, the manga covers for it always look very beautiful. So that's one thing I was caught my eye. I was like, okay, that's a pretty cover, but I never read a synopsis, knew nothing about it. But in the lead up to the anime, lots of friends of mine whose opinions I trust, they read the manga, say like, hey, this is gonna be awesome, very cool. So I'm like, okay, cool, let's check it out. And so, yeah, this first episode definitely did not disappoint. It was beautiful, like visually stunning, and just the whole setup and dynamic between our two main characters, Wakana Gojo and Marin Kitagawa. Because the basic general premise of it is that Gojo, he dreams of becoming a Hina doll craftsman because he kind of grew up with his grandfather, and his grandfather is a big, or his grandfather creates dolls and stuff as well, and so he kind of grew up in that household. He grew up in that lifestyle. Like, okay, I was trying to make the dolls and stuff, but Gojo was never the best at making the dolls themselves, but he's awesome at making the clothing and outfits for them. So that's kind of like what he's been specializing in, is making the outfits, while he's still trying to learn how to make the actual dolls themselves better. And so one thing that kind of excites me about this show is just kind of like it kind of exploring the basically the theme of, hey, it is okay to be different. It is okay to like stuff that most normal society thinks that, oh, because you're a guy, you're a girl, you're old, young, whatever, you shouldn't be into. Because with Gojo being a guy that loves making dolls and stuff and making outfits for them, sewing and things like that, he doesn't really have too many friends, if any, for at least from what we saw in this first episode, because he is so into his craft, and he is just so self-conscious about what would people think if they found out that, hey, I'm a teen guy that loves sewing, loves making these outfits, loves, I want to grow up to continue to make dolls. So he kind of stays to himself, doesn't want to be a bother to anybody, and even to the point where he'll take on doing other people's work and stuff just to kind of appease them and stuff. But Marin comes into the picture as a person who gives no cares who you are, what you think. She is like, hey, she likes what she likes, and she don't care what anybody else thinks about it, because basically this episode kind of covers the first, or the beginning of a new school year. And so you know Gojo, he's new in class, thinking to himself, whatever, and Marion comes flying in, literally, in an awkward way, and that's kind of how they kind of make that first like interaction. And then he kind of overhears when they're talking, or when Marion is talking with her friends about a situation where she ended up basically blowing off a guy, because this real popular guy, whatever, was trying to talk to her and stuff, whatever. But as soon as he found out that she was into like nerd stuff like anime and manga and stuff and games, he was like, oh, you're a nerd, you're into that kid stuff, whatever. And so and so yeah, I like, her having that attitude and being straightforward like that. When they kind of interact a little bit later in the episode, where Gojo basically took on other people's duty of staying after class and cleaning up the classroom, she basically tells him like, hey, people are taking advantage of you, because you're not standing up for yourself and things like that. And so yeah, and then like her, him hearing her say those words, along with him overhearing how she handled the guy that made fun of what she loved, it just kind of like stuck in his head the whole time. And so one day, Gojo's at home trying to sew an outfit or whatever. Their sewing machine goes out because it's super old. So he's like, oh, there's one at school. There's nobody in this classroom. It's like in like a arts and crafts class or something, whatever. And there's no active club for it. So he's like, hey, I can be in here after school. Nobody's gonna come in. It'll be cool. Marin walks in, sees him sewing, talking to his doll, like just gushing over his doll that he had, and he's thinking like, "Oh my God, this is the end of me. I'm so embarrassed. What is she gonna say?" But she is infatuated. She's like, "Yo, that is really dope. You make dolls, you make outfits and all that stuff, whatever." And so he basically kind of explains like, "Yes, my grandfather does it. I have a dream of doing it and stuff like that." And she is like, "Yo, that is really cool." And so it kind of like lit a fire inside of him, just the fact of like, okay, hey, this is the first time that somebody has ever complimented his love of doing this. And so she basically ends up telling him like, hey, I want to be a cosplayer. I'm trying to make this outfit for this character that I love, but she's not the best at sewing and stuff. And so he's all right, basically agrees to help her, and that's kind of where the first episode leaves us off at. And so I'm just, like I said earlier, I'm just excited to see the exploring of just the themes of just like, hey, it is okay to be who you want to be. It is okay to like what you want to like. You don't have to, hide your true self or hide what you love because of, what other people might think or feel or whatever. Because, at some point you have to live life for yourself. And so I am just very excited to just see where this anime goes and see how this story and their connection continues to unfold. Because, like I said, the story part has me hooked. It visually looks amazing. So I'm like, okay, hey, it's going to be a pleasure to look at, and it's going to be a pretty cool story to follow along and just see. I just think it's just kind of dope, just kind of getting like a cosplaying themed anime. So, yeah. So, you know, let me know uh, what you guys thought of the episode, if you have watched it, or even if you've read the manga, or you a fan of the series, or you a fan of how they adapted this first episode. Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and be on the lookout for more videos and content surrounding anime, manga, games, and checking out my podcast as well. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.